Welcome back to another week. I am Lisa Marie, and I'm bringing you 360 degrees of surf, sands, and sunsets. Welcome this week. I have a topic that I wanted to share with you. Actually, something that a lot of people call me about, especially because it's regarding real estate. So, SB 9, Senate Bill 9, SB 10, and ADU. What are those? What do they have in common? And what do they really mean? So the accessory dwelling unit, gosh, can you say that really fast? ADU, that's no problem. Accessory dwelling unit, accessory dwelling unit. Anyways, the accessory dwelling unit is different than what the SB 9 and the SB 10 are to do for home ownership in California. So yes, we live in Orange County. I'm here in Huntington Beach. But in order to understand the difference and break down the confusion, I brought an expert on today. Cameron Meredith, who is with ADU West Coast, gives us all a great explanation of each one and really goes in depth on what an ADU is, what the cost is, how long does it take, the steps, and where can you put an ADU on your property. So I think it's extremely informative, and I wanted to share the information with you so you could be well informed. So let's get started. Let's go into the episode. Thanks for joining. At the end, I have our surf report. So if you'd like the local surf for this week, please stay on. Huntington Henry, my amazing guy friend, is going to deliver that as well. So excited to bring all of this to you. Welcome. Thanks for joining. And by the way, do me a favor, please subscribe, and ring and hit that bell so you can get alerts for any episodes when they come on board. So appreciate that. Share it with your friends. And hey, if you have any questions, you're always welcome. My email address is hello@yourhuntingtonbeach.com. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get started and head over to the interview. So let's go. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. It's Lisa Marie with 360 HuntingtonBeach.tv. So I have a very special topic, something that I get a lot of questions on, and I'm wanting to introduce Cameron. Cameron Meredith is with ADUS Coast, and he's extremely knowledgeable, and I wanted him to share the insights for the top questions that I'm asked, and I thought, well, I'm going to bring on an expert. So Cameron, thanks for joining. Happy you're here.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
I mean, I was really excited to learn about this. And the way you explained it, I thought, there's so many people that really want to hear the same thing I learned. So I'm so happy you're here. You're going to talk about the things that people ask the most common questions. I know one of them is ADU versus SB 9 versus SB 10. That seems to be a question, there's confusion, of course, around that. And so we're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about, what does it cost? What are the timelines? And can I do an ADU? I mean, I have maybe a mother-in-law that I'd like to have live with me. Maybe I'm looking for ancillary income. Maybe I need a rental. Can I attach it to my property? These are the questions that I get asked a lot. And then also, gosh, what is the process? How long is it going to take? So excited for you to answer all that. Let's get started, and we're good.
Yeah. So first off, I want to square up some things before we get on the presentation. The difference between SB 9, SB 10, and ADUs. So just to kind of put it very simply, let's start with SB 9. SB 9, the intent of it is to allow a landowner, a homeowner, to split their lot up to 40%. So if you have enough room on your land or your lot where you can split 40% of that as raw land, the process to do that is a lot easier. There's a lot of red tape that's been cut, but you as an owner can have a separate lot, separate parcel, and you can build either a single family and another dwelling unit, or you could build a single family and an accessory dwelling unit. So big difference between a dwelling unit and an accessory dwelling unit, but you could do either or on that second parcel that you subdivide. So
Right.
that's SB9. Just remember that is a lot split. Uh, there is some caveats to that. You do have to sign an affidavit that you're going to live on one of the lots for 3 years. So the reason for this is they don't want developers coming in and splitting a bunch of lots in single family neighborhoods, which is understandable. So not to get into too much detail, that's pretty much SB9. SB10 is something different. Number one, after reading through SB10, cities and municipalities have to basically opt into certain areas that they're going to allow SB10. So I don't foresee cities such as Huntington Beach or Irvine allowing this to go down. But I do see parts of LA, maybe parts of Long Beach, more crowded cities or jurisdictions where this would apply. Now, what is SB10? SB10 is where you can potentially tear down and convert your lot into a up to 10 unit apartment building. So again, there's some more rules and some restrictions and stuff like that. I don't want to get into too much detail, but
Right.
that is pretty much what SB10 is. So remember, a jurisdiction and city has to adopt the ordinance in their jurisdiction. And then number two, it has to be a certain size and there's certain limits. So again, that's to build up to 10 units. Likelihood of this happening, like I said, in your neighborhood is probably very unlikely. There's lots that are pretty specific for it, and like I said, there's certain rules. Now, those two are separate than the ADU laws. Okay, the ADU laws came to place in 2020, which we're going to kind of go over in the presentation. But ADU laws is just specifically talking about, or I guess. Is written up to allow homeowners to build an accessory dwelling on their lot. So this dwelling will still be a part of the same parcel. It's just an accessory dwelling to the dwelling unit. So again, we're going to cover, what types of ADUs, how you can build them, what the restrictions are. That's everything I'm going to cover today.
Well,
But
and
again,
yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking, when we were talking about the specifics, just for the audience, so we're here in Southern California, right? And so I think this is kind of a blanket. Keep me honest. We're in Orange County, but we serve, you serve LA County as well, right? And you also serve some of the other counties around as well, right? So
Correct.
just referencing the
Mhm.
area for anybody that may be watching this, maybe they're not in California, just kind of give you just a glimpse of the areas that you serve.
So yeah, I serve just kind of like you said. Most of it is LA, Greater LA, and Orange County.
Hmm.
We do have a couple projects in Riverside County right now. So as far as our construction, because we are design build, where we do architectural design, engineering, and then we also do the construction. But as far as our construction crew and our teams, it's mostly Greater LA, Orange County, parts of Inland Empire. As far as doing plans and submitting plans to any city, we can do that throughout the state
Got
because
it.
we're licensed statewide, and we actually have pre-approved plans that would fit in your standard garage that we can sell statewide.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. That's a lot of area. Wow. That's good. Okay. So I'm
Yeah.
going to go ahead and bring up your presentation so the audience can see um, kind of the
Mhm.
parts you're talking about.
Perfect.
All right.
And just let me know whenever they can see, and then I'll get going.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Cool. So I'll go through here. If there's questions, maybe write them down, and then we can cover some of that at the end. But a lot of stuff will get covered in this, short 12 to 15-minute presentation. As you mentioned, we're from Seal Beach. Our company name is ADU West Coast, and like I told you, we are a design build, meaning that we do all the architectural design, we do all the engineering, we go to the city on behalf of the client to pull their permit, and then we also manage the entire construction. So it's kind of a one-stop shop as far as the ADU development goes. Just to overview what we're going to cover today. So who is ADU West Coast? I'm sure you want to know who I am, what my background is. What is an accessory dwelling unit? We'll show you pictures and videos of some ADUs we've actually completed. Some of the benefits of ADUs, some of the 2020 law changes, average cost of ADUs, use, and then different at the end we'll do a question and answer. So we'll cover quite a so not to get too much detail, but AD West Coast is made up of 4 main partners. We have more employees than that, but up to the top left here are 4 main partners. It's made up of Chung Lam, who's a structural engineer, also a GC with 10 plus years of construction development experience. Ron Helsholder has been in mortgage and real estate for 20 plus years. This is me, Cameron Meredith. I was a former real estate professional before focusing on more investors and kind of lot development stuff, which is where I met them. And we kind of started this mission to help, create more housing here in California. And then Chi, he's the brother of Chung, and he's a professional architectural designer with 15 years of design architectural work. And again, we do everything as far as the architectural design and engineering, all within our company. What is an ADU? So a lot of you might know, some of you might not know. An ADU is a second or third house with complete independent living facilities, which includes kitchen, bathroom, etc., for one or more persons. ADU also stands for, or ADU, excuse me, stands for accessory dwelling unit, and also been known as granny flat, grandpa flat, mother-in-law, father-in-law quarters, whatever you want to name it, but I'm sure you've heard some other names. This picture right here, it shows you some of the most common conversions or ADUs that we see built. Over the garage is common if you have enough space. That is going to be pretty costly just because we have to restructure that first floor to basically support that second story. To the right here is a garage conversion. That's going to be the most cost effective and the most common that we see. You can convert an attached or detached garage. It doesn't matter. Standalone unit, that's another common one we see. Again, the price is going to be a little bit more than the garage, just because we're building a brand new structure, not using the existing. And then bottom right here is basement or attic. We don't see a lot of that. We're actually doing a basement conversion right now, which we're in planning of up in East LA. So that will be an interesting one to kind of show everybody. California housing crisis. So, I'm not going to spend too much time here. It's no surprise, especially in the bigger cities, that we are in a housing crisis. So the reason why I'm showing you this, you got to understand why these laws were formed. It's formed to promote and build more housing for our growing population. Because as you can see, the building demand is way behind, what the population growth is, especially, like I said, in bigger cities. Here's some pictures of some, garage conversions we've done. So imagine these were garages before, and you can see they're pretty nice, brand new, complete brand new units. Both of these, so this one's in South LA. That was finished a couple years ago. That right now, I think rents for around $1,600-1,700. I'm not too positive to what today's rent is. This one I know is going to go for $2,000. We know the owner here, and that's a 400 square foot unit. So just kind of shows you what you can get as far as rent, and you can see how nice it is. Everything is brand new inside.
I'm amazed, what else? Cameron. I'm sorry. I just kind of have to take you back a step. It just blows me away. Yes, I was fascinated at this piece. We all have garages, and of course, they don't look like this. When you actually put it into a picture and it looks like there's an actual lifestyle there. I mean, it's brand new and it looks very comfortable. I just and how the and this is another thing I wanted to ask, because this might be on other people's minds as well. So I noticed natural lighting, because to me a garage is the most common way to go, right, and the least expensive, I think. And I'm looking at the lighting in there, and I'm like, okay, so there's actually a window. So is that something that you actually end up installing in most garages?
Yes, we have to. There has to be egress in bedroom and common area.
Right.
So,
Okay.
we do wall up the garage door, and then we add, windows and doors as needed. So,
Okay.
Every one of our units is customizable, so we can even customize the windows sills if you guys want.
Makes sense. That looks great.
But yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like inside. And we have a lot of people to kind of touch on that, build the ADU, customize it how they want. And, they're empty nesters or retired or whatever. They'll go move in the back unit that's brand new with all the stuff they want. And then they'll go rent their front house for, $3,400, whatever the current rent is for their property. So that's also really common as well.
Oh, gotcha.
And
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of times you'd be surprised. I would say about 65-70% of the ADUs we do are built for family members to move back, whether it's a grandma, whether it's an older, older young adult kid. But
Mm-hmm.
we see that way more than we do rentals, to be honest.
So that's like
Um,
it makes sense because it's a change in ownership of well, and rents being obviously, the way they've gone up. The
yep,
solution is kind of almost full circle, right? Where the family comes back to live with their
yep,
members. And this is going to provide additional space and a solution so they can.
definitely.
And ideally at an affordable, rate.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll go over the cost later to kind of what it
Okay.
costs and all that. But what else could ADUs be used for? This is some common things that we see. Just remember, it has to have a full kitchen and bathroom in order to be permitted as an ADU. But not to say we haven't seen this stuff. Elderly care, music studio, extra office space. We've built out kind of studio units with a full kitchen where people are using it as an office currently and have the intent later down the road to rent it out. Yoga, workout space, art space, guest house, entertainment area, and income property. The most two that we see is obviously income property and elderly care and or moving a family member back. That's going to be number one, like I said earlier. What are some of the benefits? So ADUs can provide a source of income for homeowners. What we see on average for the greater LAOC area is about $1,800 per month on average for a 400 square feet unit. ADUs allow extended families to be near one another while maintaining privacy. So unless it's an attached garage, which we are doing right now, most of these are detached with their separate entrances, and most of the owners put up a separate fence. So it almost acts as two separate total properties, even though it's the same parcel. ADUs allow a more affordable approach to senior living. I think I covered that. ADUs would give the homeowner increase in property value. So this is a big thing. It is going to be extra square footage, extra bedroom, extra bath. How much, that's the real answer. It kind of depends on your appraiser, and there's real no set value on that. I will tell you from the ones we've done and the people that have refinanced, they've at least gotten what they put in from the unit. I can't make any guarantees for yours, but again, it's just all dependent upon that appraiser. ADUs increase the housing supply, especially in urban areas where it's needed. Affordable housing, I kind of touched on cities like Long Beach or Los Angeles. Owners can now build up to 2 more units on SFR zoned property. So inclusive of your single family that's already on your lot, you're allowed to build an ADU and a junior ADU if you wanted to. So technically you could have up to 2 units. The caveat on that is if you do build an ADU and a junior ADU, both of them, the owner has to legally occupy one of the residents. Okay. But if you were to just build one, so let's say you had your single family and you were to just build an ADU, and you can rent both of those out, go move somewhere else if you wanted. But again, if you had the ADU and the junior ADU with your single family, you have to occupy one of those. That's in
So
the state law.
that makes sense. So basically, if you get to the third unit, now you're into the owner needs to stay occupied. And also
Correct.
too, when and as you go through the rents, I think that's pretty interesting because, rents do, they do, uh, they do go up percentage wise year over year. So the
Mhm.
rents that we think of today are going to create even more income for some folks that are using this and the solution of creating some self income. Because I like the idea of people being able to stay in their home, and then how do they create income, and then the income of rent, and then the rent can continue to go up, I guess, as the economy changes, I guess.
Yep. And,
Yeah.
and we have people that, the rent pays off a half or more of their mortgage, payments per month. So there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. And like I said, the way we set it up, or we can set it up
Mhm.
however the owner wants, but most of the time they want to set up like a separate property. So they have 2 separate entrances, they have gates separating
Oh,
yard area, which is why they're getting, the higher rent, because an ADU is in, number one, it's in a neighborhood. It's not a big apartment complex. And then number two, a lot of these people have pets that want a yard area. And where else are you going to get a private yard area in a neighborhood? I mean, you can't find it, for a
Right.
one bed. So
And I
it's a
love
huge.
it. Yeah, it's a great point because it's not really an apartment, yet it's not really a single family home, but it's kind of like a blend right in the middle, which is a sweet spot, I think, for living.
Yeah, definitely. And you find good tenants that really seek it out. I mean, a lot of
Yep.
nurses, a lot of teachers, there's all sorts of people. But what we found is it's not hard to rent out. That's for sure.
Oh.
And then bottom here, we're going to help solve part of the housing crisis in California just by inherently building more inventory. I think this year we're on track to build over 25 units. So we feel like we're helping out in some way, and we like what we do. So that's definitely a benefit of the ADUs. What are city benefits of ADUs? So you got to understand why cities have to. Number one, it's state law that they have to do them, but
Yep.
you got to understand what are the benefits for them. Why do they want to build these? It's going to count towards your RHNA, which is Regional Housing Needs Assessment, and Housing Element Needs, which each city has to meet a goal per year. It's going to meet affordable housing requirements, which each city has. And it's going to conserve a variety of community needs. So young people, elderly people, workforce. I kind of talked about nurses, teachers, stuff like that. And then obviously elderly and young adults moving in to these neighborhoods. And then an increase in property taxes is a big question for you as a realtor or homeowners, right? How is this going to affect my property tax? So very simple. Your property does not get totally reassessed. What they do is they add on, let's say if your garage conversion was $100,000, just as a number, they would add on the 100,000 times your tax basis. So say if it was 1%, that would be the amount of tax that gets added on to your current existing tax bill, if that makes sense.
It does. And I know that Orange County, for example, Orange County, I know we're at 1.10%. I know LA County is 1.25%. So there is a difference. Of course, every county has their own, and then every city within the county has their own. But there's a way to
Yes.
find that calculation, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah, exactly. So again, if your construction, the whole thing was 100K, you just
Yep.
add that times your tax basis and add it to your current bill.
Makes
That's how
sense.
you'd calculate. Yeah.
Got it.
Some of the big 2020 state law changes. Again, there's more than this, but I just wanted to cover some of the major ones. No, the owner no longer has to live on the property to rent it out. So remember, if you just build one of them, whether it's the junior ADU or the ADU, you don't have to live there. You can rent both of them, take off if you want. Again, if you build two of them, an ADU and a junior, you do have to live in one of the properties. Okay. HOAs must allow ADUs. We're dealing with one right now. It hasn't been an issue. I will not tell you that there won't be HOAs that will have some pushback. But in the state law, it specifically says that HOAs cannot stop an ADU from being built. So that's a huge plus as well. No minimum lot size requirement. There used to be a lot size requirement for that. Again, that's completely gone now. An ADU and a junior ADU can be built. So we talked about that. 3 total units on an R1, including the single family. There is new multifamily ADU laws. So if you have a multifamily building, this is a huge value add as far as if you can build new units. If you have garage space or open area for your multifamily property, you can build an ADU there. Obviously, there's some specifics, which I can go over if you have one. But again, it's a whole new set of laws for the ADU. Very limited parking requirements. If you convert a garage, there is no parking requirement. And then not to get into too much detail, but pretty much if you were to build a freestanding ADU up to 1,200 square feet and it had 3 bedrooms, that's when you'd have to go into counting parking spaces on your lot. But again, if it's on the smaller side and if you convert a garage, there is very limited, if not no parking requirements. Cities cannot override major state law changes. That's big because, again, the reason why these laws are in place is to provide more housing. And then you
Cameron,
can build.
I apologize. Go ahead. What I was going to say is, and I thought that was the end, so I apologize. But I think, so one of the things I just want to bring up is the HOA. So you and I don't have that answer, but the first question I know comes to mind is, what do they do? And I would say you need to go to your homeowners association and either attend a meeting or send the email, however they communicate that, and reach out to them to find out, this is what I'm interested in doing, what are the criterias and or options for me to pursue that.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's very smart before signing any document,
Yeah.
or even going through with it. Because again, some HOAs I can guarantee are going to be a headache, right? Whether
Right.
they're going to let you do that or not, that's a whole nother story. But yes, if I were you or a client that was in an HOA, I definitely go to the HOA first and say, hey, I'm thinking about building an ADU. What are your CCNRs or guidelines or restrictions on that? Can you please let me know what the process is? And most of the time, they'll give you a list of stuff. It has to obviously be within the CCNRs, but a lot of times they'll just make us, the builder or the designer,
Right.
submit the same package we submit to the city, showing that, hey, the siding is going to be the same, the roof is going to be the same, or whatever it is.
Great. I think that's a great answer. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
That would be a question, I think, if I was in an HOA. What do I do?
Yeah, and a lot of them don't know what to do, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
I've heard both sides. The one we're dealing with has been pretty easy, but again, I'm not going to guarantee that some others won't be, kind of a headache.
Yeah. So getting ahead
Um,
of it first. Great. Great suggestion.
no worries. So, and then the last part here, you can build up to a 1,200 square foot ADU unit in your backyard. You need 4 feet setback from your side and rear lot line. And in most cities, it's statewide, it's 10 feet from your existing structure, but some cities have moved that down to 6 feet. So that brings me to a good point. Always check with your local city on anything you want to build. I can give you as much advice as possible, but I'm always going to tell you to double check with the city.
Makes sense.
Average cost of ADUs. So again, this is always changing. Construction's always changing. As you know, I'm sure you've seen lumber prices in the last year and a half or so kind of fluctuate up and down. But these are just kind of current pricing of what we're seeing right now. And I'll go just by typical types of ADUs we build. So if we're doing a simple garage conversion, whether it's attached or detached, your average garage is somewhere between 320 and 400 square feet. Something like that would be around 110,000 plus or minus. So that's what you're looking like all in for a 1-bedroom or a studio within that space. If we were to do a ground up ADU and it was the same exact size as that garage, again, you're going to look at plus or minus 145-ish range once everything's all said and done. Once you do something above a garage, you're probably looking at about the same, if not, could be possibly more, just because, again, you got to go in and restructure that garage space. So hopefully this gives you kind of an idea. Obviously, the more square footage that you go up, the more that cost is going to go up as well. But these are just kind of standard as far as pricing. But one thing I want to point out, where are you going to go in California or even out of state and buy, a rental unit for 110 or 145? It's just not doable. That's going to return you, $1,800 a month. So it is a pretty good cash flow type of idea if that's something you want to look into.
Well, and then Cameron, that's an excellent point. I mean, when you think about the market today, Orange County, for example, LA, no, and I can't even say that any county is any different. The low inventory, record low inventory, and the history of our county, as well as many. Huntington Beach, for example, had 112 homes for sale this morning. I mean, that's just unprecedented. It's 38% lower than it was last year, and last year was 34% lower than the previous year. So when you think about 110,000 garage conversion in Southern California to create income, that's insanely doable. For investment strategies, it just blows me away. Yeah.
And the 1,800s a month is great cash flow, for that one unit. And obviously, if you build a 2 unit or go up, it goes up from there. And then on top of it, your property value, right? So that's another huge point of that is your property value is going to go up. So what to look for as far as cost? What will bring that cost up or down? These are some things to look for. So your electrical, you want to see, how far that electrical is. Is it coming in from above or below? pretty much any farther we have to go to connect to that is going to require more money. Sewer, same thing. We always connect our sewer into the front of the single family property sewer line. And we put a clean out right there. So if there's any issues with the front house, it's not going to affect the back ADU. So the reason why sewer would bring the cost up, again, it all goes back to distance and trenching. Depending on how far and how much concrete and all that we have to tear up, that cost will go up or down. Raised foundation or slab. So again, what type of structure is that existing house? Raised foundation is a little bit easier to connect to. Condition of surrounding area. So we always want to make notes of, for example, elevation. So if you have a detached garage that's elevated, sloping down in the back of your property, that is not a good setup. Well, you can still do it. It's just going to cost at least an extra $5,000 to $6,000 for a sewer pump to pump the sewer up to the front of the street. So little stuff like that. Is there water gathering around the area that we're going to build? This is all kind of site conditions that we're going to look at. Condition of the garage. If you're doing a garage, that's definitely something we look at. Is a slab severely cracked? There's always, hairline cracks in right. Most garages, but is it severely cracked? Also, structure. Is the inside of that structure, deteriorating? How is the current existing roof? This is all stuff, again, that's going to bring that cost up. Here's some of our inspection lists. So it kind of shows you what I do or what I look for when I go out. So if you have a property, or if you have a client that has a property that's wondering how do I find out, or what do I do, this is exactly what we do. So we find the property wall setback of where the ADU or garage is. We find the primary dwelling setback. We measure that. We see the driveway condition and general condition of the driveway. We look at the surrounding condition to determine the surrounding ground. So like I told you, if it was sloped down, you look at roof. If we're doing a garage conversion, that's a big thing. Next page, we look at inside structure of the garage. As I mentioned, we look at the slab of the garage. We also measure the dimensions of the backyard or open area. We look at sewer determined distance to the primary residence and foundation type. And then we also look for the electrical panel, and then we also measure the size of the garage or open area. So pretty self-explanatory, but these are all notes and stuff that are going to go back to us to generate a quote. This is everything we do when we go out to your house and inspect it. ADU rental scenarios. So I know we kind of touched on it real quick. These are just kind of some basic rental scenarios here of kind of what we've seen from clients. Again, your house is probably going to be a little bit different depending on where you live, but option one, live in the main house and rent the ADU. Again, you can do that for $1,800 a month or whatever it is in your area. Option number two, live in the ADU and rent the main house out. So we have people, like I said, that live in the ADU. They make it exactly how they want. It's just, them and their significant other, and they rent the main house out for $32,000 to $4,000, depending on your area and the size of your house. Option three is rent both the ADU and the main SFR and go buy another property somewhere and go live there. And then your net per month your gross per month as far as rent would be, around $5,000, depending on your location. So these are all kind of different scenarios that we see of clients we've done and currently clients we have. And you can see you can generate some pretty serious money depending on what you want to do there.
Yeah. And number two is really interesting to me because, depending on your lifestyle and your where you're at in your career. So a lot of folks get to that point where they want to retain their property because they don't want to sell, because often they can't come back to the community that they lived in. So when I think of option two and I'm looking at solutions, I'm thinking, so if you're going to retire on the brinks of retiring or forward thinking about retiring in the near future, and you build your ADU and you switch out the larger section of your property and rent that, you take over the smaller section, which is the new ADU that you've now converted or added. And then you create a larger income to offset the bigger size and accommodate those folks. Meanwhile, you always have the other ADU space, 400 square feet, to come back to as you travel, as you visit, as you do all those things you think about when you're retiring. So, I mean, I don't know anybody that talks about an option like that they've had in part of their planning for retirement. So number two just really strikes me as what a great solution for that person in that scenario of their life, their
Yeah.
employment. Yeah.
Well, definitely. And, you think about it, you can customize the unit how you want. A lot of people want to customize their home or remodel a house. Well, what better way to do it than just build it how you want?
Yeah.
And like you said, you can live there, retire there, but it's definitely one of the best options that we see for sure. Um, I'm sure this is a big question everybody has as well. Going on to the next slide. Steps with building an ADU. So what we do is first we hop on the phone, talk to the client a bit. Once the client wants us to come out, we actually do a pre-qualification before coming out. So a lot like purchasing a home, we either require proof of funds or a pre-qual from a lender stating that they have enough money to transact on a construction project. Reason why we do that, you can imagine we're doing free estimates, and I was doing 30 appointments a week. Come to
Mm,
find out, 25% of those people were only in a position to do the construction project. So we kind of sat back and said, hey, look, let's have them pre-qualified first or send us proof of funds before going out. Once we do that, we go out. It usually takes about 45 minutes to an hour to do a site inspection. I do all the site inspections myself. We take pictures, measurements, notes, and then we upload that. It takes us about 2 weeks to generate a proposal for you. And again, it's most cases, it's design build of everything. And once, let's say you liked our proposal, you wanted to go through with us, we start the pre-construction phase. And I'll go over timeline after this slide, but that's everything you need to get your permit.
right.
And then after that, once we stamp off on your permit, the city will stamp off on that. We start construction. And then once you're done with construction, you can start collecting rent or move a family member back, whatever you see fits for you.
Hey, Cameron, on the permit side, are you finding any type of what delays are you running into that with the cities and adapting to ADUs and the new laws
Um,
and
so here's we'll go into this slide and I'll kind of touch on
okay,
that as far as the pre-construction. So right now, this shows you kind of a timeline on jobs, right?
right,
Garage conversions are taking about 10 months plus or minus. Pre-construction is about 4 months plus or minus. So I'll stop there. With the pre-construction, that's again everything you need to get your permit.
right,
Cities are being relatively, I shouldn't say slow, but they're not being fast. So you're looking at 4 months, give or take, depending on the scope of the project. They review your file in the way that it's submitted. So a lot of times, you're waiting a couple weeks before they
yeah,
even do the first review. So that's why it's kind of ever moving. It just kind of depends on how many projects they have coming in, what planners are working, and how fast they work. So,
got it.
it, yeah,
Okay,
it's been kind of difficult at times, but usually it's about 4 months, give or take.
okay, good to know.
Construction for garage conversion is about 6 months plus or minus. And then ground up is a little different. Your pre-construction is about the same, 4 months, give or take. The construction is going to be about 7+ months. Okay. So a little bit different as far as timeline. I always tell people at least try to plan out for a year. And if we can do it faster, great. If not, it might drag on a little bit. And again, the biggest holdup is not us. It's really the city inspectors coming out and inspecting. That takes a long time. Sometimes they're 2 weeks booked out, 3 weeks booked out. It just depends on the city. Here are some basic floor plans. So on our website, you can go on there, and at the end, I'll have all our website and everything. But you can just kind of see some of the designs we can do with space. This is a 400 square foot kind of studio, and then here's a 2-car garage, 400 square feet studio as well. We do have pre-engineered plans, as I talked about. These are plans we've already done through certain cities, Los Angeles, Long Beach. It's basically a set that we can sell. It's a full set that would fit in your standard 2-car garage. You'd save on time, save on money. And then again, we've been through plans throughout California. But if you want a more customized one, which most people do, that's actually the most of what we do is customize ADUs.
Okay.
That's no problem as well. Here is a garage conversion video we did in Altadena. Hopefully you can see it okay, but again, this is 400 square feet, and it's a beautiful brand new ADU unit. And full appliances, you'll see that's where the refrigerator goes to the left.
So Cameron, as we're looking at this, as far as the type of materials, we're looking at vinyl floors, I'm thinking.
Mhm.
We're looking at maybe quartz, I don't countertops.
Yeah, quartz countertops.
Okay, so we're in line with kind of the new, and we've got stainless steel appliances
Bigger
and
cabinets, you know.
okay,
So the way we do it, you know, we break down in budget per category. So for example, your flooring, you know, $2 a square foot. If you go over the budget, you just pay the difference. Appliances, we always make the client pay for appliances themselves. They get it delivered to the job site. We'll install it for them. So there are some exclusions, which I'm not going to cover in this presentation, that we do exclude. But pretty much as far as going with us, it is, you know, a design build of the whole thing. The three main things we exclude, which I'll just talk about. One is your city fees, which the client always pays for. Your average city fees to get your permit of everything is about around 5,000, give or take.
okay.
The second thing is your appliance items. We always make the client pay for that. And then the third thing is any hardscape or landscape on the outside.
So the exterior, okay, got you.
Yeah, but everything else we include everything. Just like I told you with the flooring, same thing with you know, your vanity. It's budget per item. So
Okay.
if you go over it, you just pay the difference. Financing options. So here's some things of what we see the most of. Cash out refinance is going to be number one. That, you know, I know the rates just went up slightly, but that's how a lot of people are paying for these, as well as HELOC. Obviously, these two, you need at least 20 to 25% equity to tap into. But again, those are going to be the most common. There are home renovation loans. The rates kind of vary depending on, you know, who you use and what type of renovation loan. But usually that's a little bit higher than these two. And then lastly is cash or personal loan, of people that have cash. But like I said, most of them don't just have, you know, 100-something thousand laying around. So they do need to get financing, which is what number 1 and 2 is what we see. But other than that, that's pretty much the whole presentation. Before, you know, we get going on questions, you can save or follow us on social media here. Everything is just at ADU West Coast. I put out a lot of videos on YouTube that's informal about ADUs and SB9 and some of the legislation. So feel free to follow us there. And then here's my personal number in case anybody wants to get a hold of me. But from there, I'll leave it open with any questions maybe.
So I think for you and I, you know, when I think about the questions, I think you pretty much I nailed them all because I had all the questions prepared and we ran through them, of course, prior. But we went through the the ADUs, the Senate Bill 9 and 10. Of course, that's a big one because there's still a lot of confusion with that. The cost, the timeline, the process. And then really, can you have one? And I really appreciate tapping into the HOA because there are folks, you know, we live in that environment where, you know, there's HOAs here. So that was one of the big questions. So to reach out to your HOA and find out, you know, is this something I can do based on the CCNRs and the bylaws, et cetera, is really a great thing you tapped into. I appreciate this. I think it's a world of knowledge. I think people ask and wonder about ADUs. And Cameron, I can't tell you how grateful I am you came out and we spent some time together to go through them. And of course, you know, I'll leave the Cameron's information for all you viewers that are watching. I'm going to put his information in the below. Of course, this goes up on YouTube. So you'll see it under the description and the contact information. So if you want to reach out to Cameron and you have further questions, please do. I'll leave his email, his phone number, his personal cell phone. That's awesome. And then the website, of course. So I'll definitely keep that in there. And gosh, I mean, I just really, I think you hit it all.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, if you don't have anything else, I'm going to jump. But was there anything else that I can cover
No,
for
we're
you?
good. I just appreciate coming out. I know everybody watching will appreciate it too. Thanks so much, Cameron.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
We'll talk soon. Thanks for having me.
Hey, peace out.
All right,
Thank
bye.
you. Talk to you soon. Well, that was it. Well, that was a lot of information, but I hope you love everything that you've got to hear from Cameron Meredith. And if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to him. I appreciate you being here today. I hope you find this value. Please do me a favor. If you can like and share with your friends, hit that like button below, and also subscribe so you can get updates every time I have these great informative opportunities. I want to share them with you through this channel. And that's why I do this channel. It's just lifestyle of Southern California, living here, and how we can benefit from this lifestyle. And I hope this information on ADUs and SB9, SB10, you found it very helpful. So till next time, thanks for joining me. This is Lisa Marie with HB360 TV. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week.
Huntington Henry here at Huntington Beach. It's another awesome day. It's Monday, February 21st, 2022, and I'm doing a 7-day forecast for you for the HB360 TV and my YouTube channel, Henry Surf Showcase. All right, let's do it. We have overcast skies. We have a few areas of broken clouds. We did have some light drizzle drops kind of coming in. We have a south wind right now at about 3 to 5 miles an hour. We are expecting a few drizzle to light rain this afternoon coming in. The south wind is expected to pick up a little bit, and it's kind of veering maybe a little towards the west right before dark. Our sunset's now at 5:42 p.m. Our sunrise, 6:31 a.m. It's about 6:45 a.m. right now. Our air temperature, morning low, 52 degrees today, and we are looking for an afternoon high air temperature, only about 60. The weather's going to cool off. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we got a storm coming in. We could get some thunder showers coming in, and that means possible hail. But it's going to rain Tuesday and Wednesday. We have stormy weather at the beach. Thursday, it's going to clean up a little bit. Our air temperatures are going to be dropping lower, upper 40s at night, upper 50s in the daytime. Thursday, a little warmer, not much, maybe low 60s with more sunshine. Friday, maybe mid 60s, and Saturday about the same. Sunday, maybe looking at about 70 degrees on the sand, back with sunshine. The surf, kind of crummy today, 1 to 3 feet coming in. We got that onshore wind chopping it up a little bit, so not much surf out there. We got a water temperature at 58 degrees. The surf will pick up with a storm, but it's going to be mostly choppy storm surf conditions. We're looking at 3 to 6 on Tuesday and Wednesday, possibly a few larger sets splashing in. Thursday, looks like it's going to clean up a little bit, maybe get a little lighter wind in the morning with a little more opportunity there, although it will drop off a little bit at 3 to 4, occasional 5 Thursday. Friday drops off even further, 2 to 3, maybe 4. And Saturday picks back up just a pinch, 3 to 4, maybe 5, and Sunday as well. The tides are kind of low in the morning, only a 1.1, and afternoon, around noontime, is our high tides in the 3.5 range, and it gets low again just before evening in the 1 foot range. Not much tide swinging lately here at the beach, generally low in the morning, high in the afternoon. Hey, I want you to join me over my YouTube channel, Henry Surf Showcase. That's Henry Surf Showcase. All small letters, all one word. I'll be updating this report in the description section throughout the week, so join me over there at Henry Surf Showcase. That's the latest from Huntington Beach. You guys have a great week.